Alright, so as college students, it's not a wild accusation to make that at least some of you in this room have been in a situation that put you in a location or a social situation where you encountered firsthand the illegal substance known as marijuana. We all know what marijuana is. In grade school and high school, we all had drug education, things like DARE, drug abuse resistance education. We've all heard the gateway drug theory, been told the misleading facts that support the claims of the ad council. It's more harmful than we all thought, all that. And I'm here today to address a costly problem that has existed in the United States for nearly 3/4 of a century, and that is marijuana prohibition. In the 1920s, most of you probably know, the word prohibition will make you think of the 13-year period where the 18th Amendment of the United States banned alcohol. In 1933, they repealed that, realizing that it didn't work. There was so much bootlegging, moonshining, all that, and it just contributed to all these speakeasies. The same thing is happening today with marijuana prohibition. It's not working, it's a failure, but people refuse to admit it. The cost of this failure is adding up to billions of dollars spent annually on court systems and prosecuting otherwise law-abiding citizens for small amounts of marijuana possession. It leads to violent crime at the hands of criminals who grow and distribute marijuana illegally, and it amounts to billions of dollars in lost revenue that could be generated by government regulation and taxation. Anti-marijuana legislators have consistently maintained the position that marijuana is severely detrimental to health. However, there is much legitimate scientific evidence that marijuana, in terms of health, is considerably less harmful to the body than alcohol, which remains legal today. Studies, such as one performed by the National Academy of Sciences in 1999, confirmed that marijuana carries no risk of side effects any more harmful than many prescribed medications. Other suggestions have tried to link marijuana smoke with lung cancer, but again, this has been debunked. Marijuana smoke is considerably less harmful to the lungs than tobacco products, and in fact, marijuana has never been scientifically linked to any type of cancer. Many other studies in the last decade have also found no data to corroborate the statement that marijuana is a gateway drug, that which means that people claim that after using marijuana leads you to try other harder drugs to get a different kind of high. The gateway drug theory is a false explanation. If you take a sample of cocaine users and they say that they tried marijuana before they tried cocaine, that really doesn't give any scientific evidence that physical substance of marijuana was what led them to try cocaine in the first place. As marijuana remains illegal, it's costing you and your parents. The war on marijuana is wasting billions of dollars in taxpayer money. In October 2007, Dr. John Getman conducted a study that concluded the war on pot in America has cost $10.7 billion in taxes supporting the prosecution and law enforcement of marijuana laws. In addition to that $10.7 billion, an additional $3.1 billion could have been made in taxing marijuana. That's $42 billion that could have been used for important things like education or healthcare, anything government funded. But instead, billions were spent on prosecuting over 738,000 people a year in the United States, strictly for small possession. Those numbers are strictly for individual possession, not trafficking or selling marijuana. By not regulating marijuana, the United States has effectively abdicated an industry capable of generating hundreds of billions of dollars to criminal gangs and organizations. And they all get it tax-free. And politicians are constantly saying things like, marijuana leads to all these violent crimes. Some of you might have seen one of these drug commercials where it goes, "This is Stacy, this is the dime bag that Stacy bought," and it traces it all the way back to this girl getting killed by a marijuana drug dealer. And they fail to realize that the reason things like this are happening is because they've given this business to these criminals by completely making marijuana illegal. There's a report in Washington D.C. that's recently that's linked several murders to feuding local drug dealers who are in a war with Jamaicans from New York, and these murders wouldn't be happening if this was a government-regulated business. So there's a solution to the number of problems caused by marijuana prohibition. That solution is legalization and government regulation of marijuana. The federal ban on marijuana needs to be repealed, and regulation by the states needs to commence in the same fashion as alcohol. Commercial production needs to be limited to licensed growers. Distribution needs to be limited to licensed sellers. Regulations governing public consumption need to be put in place. And strict laws prohibiting minors from obtaining the product need to be put in place. And municipalities should be given the right to reserve the right to choose whether or not they allow the selling of marijuana in their district, kind of the way we have dry counties now. In America, with legalized and regulated marijuana, would see a vast surplus of funds that could be spent in the budgets of state governments. It would mean an end to the hundreds of thousands of otherwise legally upstanding individuals being prosecuted for possession of a gram or less of marijuana. Being prosecuted for things like this causes irreversible future repercussions, loss of jobs, a criminal record for the rest of your life. Taking back marijuana industry from criminal gangs and giving it to legitimate businesses and companies would mean significantly less violence between rival drug cartels. And legalizing marijuana would also mean relief for thousands of patients who still find it illegal in their state to use marijuana as a medicine for their pain. Obviously, any really large-scale national reform like this isn't going to be easy. It's going to be slow and arduous, take a lot of time. And in order, I believe the first step in swaying the American public to legalizing marijuana is changes need to be made on marijuana education. The public must be made aware of the facts on marijuana, not the half-truths or skewed and misleading data used by opponents of the drug. So luckily today, steps are already in motion for the eventual legalization of marijuana. There's organizations like NORML, the National Organization to Reform Marijuana Laws. They work every day to reform marijuana and educate the public for the last 32 years and try to inspire action in Americans. The way you guys can help in this, in the fight to legalize and regulate marijuana, is by educating as many people as you can. First of all, informing yourselves, going to places like NORML, educating yourselves, educating others, and then you, the people you've educated, need to write to your elected officials and demand marijuana law reform. You guys should all stay alert on what kind of politicians are in support of reforming marijuana law, and then every November you need to go out and vote for them. 12 states in the union have already voted for decriminalization of marijuana possession, so clearly we're headed in the right direction there. Together we can vote to end marijuana prohibition. So if you guys want more information, the website's norml.org. You can even become a member with absolute complete confidentiality, and the site offers a bunch of great resources about the laws in your state and a lot of good facts about marijuana reform. And I swear I didn't plan on giving this on 420, but